Eyo Value Investors, how are you doing? My name is Stijn and welcome to my YouTube channel. You guys all know I love Nouveau Monde Graphite and they've released some juicy news around the reverse split or consolidation of shares. So what is this reverse split all about? Is it good or bad for the long-term prospects of this company? And should you still invest in Nouveau Monde Graphite? Well, to answer those questions, we'll first do a short analysis on the business plan of Nouveau Monde Graphite. Second, we'll talk all about the reverse split. Third, we'll do a deeper dive into the longer-term implications of the split. And lastly, you'll try to decide if you should invest in this company. Let's go. So, Nouveau Monde Graphite. I've done so many videos on Nouveau Monde Graphite, so check this video out if you want to go more in depth into the business plan. But in short, Nouveau Monde Graphite is aiming to become a large carbon neutral graphite producer while being low cost simultaneously. Graphite is used in a lot of use cases, but the one Nouveau Monde Graphite is aiming at the largest are electric vehicles. So Nouveau Monde is forming their business plan around this booming EV sector. And the first part of their business is their Meta-Winnie project, which is a mine that's projected to produce 100,000 tons of flake graphite starting from 2023. And the mining operations might get extended to 200,000 tons of flake graphite a year starting from around 2025. And the second part of the business is their awesome purification plant in partnership with Olin, where they take raw flake graphite and turn it into battery anode material, which can then be used by lithium-ion batteries. The purification plant will produce around 45,000 tons of battery anode material a year, with plans of upgrades too. So Nouveau Monde Graphite plans to produce both the raw flake graphite as well as the battery anode material, all carbon neutral, good for the environment and very low cost. That's their competitive advantage right there. So now that we know what Nouveau Monde Graphite does, what about the reverse split? Well, on the 23rd of March, a special shareholders meeting was held. And leading up to this meeting, shareholders could cast their votes on whether Nouveau Monde Graphite could consolidate their shares. And this consolidation was approved with a whopping 98% majority approval. This really shows that we shareholders trust the management. And this is really good for the longer term prospects of Nouveau Monde Graphite, as we will analyze during the implication part of this video. So Nouveau Monde Graphite wanted to implement the share consolidation to enable the corporation to satisfy certain minimum trading price requirements of stock exchanges in the United States for potential listing of the corporation's common shares. Okay, that's a really important piece of information. More of this during the implications part of this video. So what will the consolidation actually do? Well, since it was approved, Nouveau Monde Graphite is able to consolidate their shares at either a 2-to-1, 5-to-1 or 10-to-1 ratio. This effectively means that for every 2, 5 or 10 shares we hold, we get just one share after the consolidation. And the day after, on the 24th of March, Nouveau Monde Graphite has let us shareholders know that they will do a 10-to-1 consolidation at the end of March, meaning that approximately 90% of all shares will cease to exist. So we'll go from 360 million shares outstanding to just 36 million shares outstanding. And this doesn't really change anything for the positions you and I hold. If you, for example, hold 100 shares, you'll only have 10 shares after the consolidation. But for us shareholders, this changes very little, since those 10 shares will still reflect the same percentage of the pie. And the pie in this analogy is Nouveau Monde Graphite. I would, however, advise everyone that's holding a number of shares that doesn't end on a 0, so that isn't easily divisible by 10, to buy a couple of shares soon. That way you won't get fractional shares, since those will be an absolute pain in the butt. Okay, so if this consolidation doesn't really change anything, why would Nouveau Monde Graphite want to do it at all? Well, a couple of reasons for this consolidation can be named actually. And the first is quite simple. Nouveau Monde Graphite would love to uplist to the New York Stock Exchange, which is one of the largest stock exchanges of America, maybe even the world. If we would uplist to the New York Stock Exchange, that will mean a lot of more institutional and individual investors gain access to Nouveau Monde. More interest and more access will most definitely mean more people buying this stock. And that would result in way higher share prices, which is of course good for all current shareholders. And some of the largest shareholders of Nouveau Monde Graphite are the management team. So they of course want to increase the share price to increase their own wealth. But although it will be very beneficial, uplisting to the New York Stock Exchange is quite hard. Nouveau Monde Graphite hits almost all criteria, just one it didn't tick before. And that's a share price of around $4. $5. And since Nouveau Monde Graphite will probably have a hard time growing naturally to $4 per share without the exposure of New York Stock Exchange, a reverse split was the best option for now. Effectively, by consolidating 10-1, Nouveau Monde Graphite will now start trading at around $15 US. Assuming it stays at around $1.5 US till that time. And that is of course because of 1.5 times 10, which is because of the consolidation, equals $15 per share. And subsequently, $15 is way higher than $4 per share, so this is perfect for the uplisting. And I really couldn't find any negatives to this consolidation, so that's a win-win. Another reason for the consolidation might just be psychological. Most people tend to distrust the company if it's trading at too low of a share price, since this hint that it's a smaller company. And tiny companies are inherently untrustworthy. Right? Well, I personally disagree, but this is what a lot of people believe. Trading at $15 would legitimize Nouveau Monde for so many more people. And more people taking this company serious is always good for current shareholders. So we now know what the consolidation means, and we know that it was needed to uplist to the New York Stock Exchange. But should you still invest in this company end of March 2021? Well, yeah, I think so. Of course, I'm no financial advisor, but when speaking for myself, I will totally continue to hold my shares and maybe even add to my position. Here is why. In my last video on Nouveau Monde Graphite, I did really in-depth price calculations. I would advise watching that video after this one, since it's really important to understand where the price targets are coming from. However, the gist of it is that I believe Nouveau Monde Graphite would go up to $37 per share in just 10 years. That is before the consolidation and assuming they do 200,000 tons of flake graphite at their Mid-Winnie project plus 45,000 tons of battery anode material. And of course a conservative PE ratio of about 30. And I still believe those numbers. But now we have the consolidation to worry about. And knowing they will do a 10-1 consolidation, my price targets effectively increased 10-fold. So once the consolidation is through at the end of March, and Nouveau Monde Graphite is trading at around $10, $15, maybe $20 per share, I can't really predict what will happen in the short term, but when it is trading at around those prices, I believe the stock will go up to $370 in this decade. And I'm going to be part of this insane growth. And whether you should invest too, well, that's for you to decide. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, please give it a like and maybe even subscribe. Comment down below what you want to talk about next, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.